Good evening. We're here in the Space Shuttle Flight Control Room, continuing with our series of flight controller interviews. Now joining us is Pam Martin, who is the OSO on the International Space Station Flight Controller team. Thank you so much for joining us. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the OSO position?
Sorry. It's our responsibility to take care of mechanisms and maintenance for the station. So with the mechanisms perspective, we're in charge of the common berthing mechanism that mates the different modules together. So that's really awesome to get to control bolts in space that are attaching the new pieces of the station together. From a maintenance perspective, we are in charge of writing the procedures and training the crew on how to replace hardware that fails inside the space station. So that happens a lot. So we are often quite busy with doing all that.
So this has been a busy mission for you. You've had to handle the mechanism for docking and undocking, and then also for the MRM?
And we're related sort of to the docking mechanism, but specifically for mating new modules that come up. So this mission, we definitely were paying attention to the MRM berthing, and we had some counterparts that followed that closely and were, very up to speed on that mechanism specifically.
So in this case, you had to work very closely with the Russians on this particular edition?
We had people in our group that traveled over there and again, we're brought up to speed on how the mechanism worked, just in case anything went wrong, so that we could offer our expertise if something happened. So,
congratulations on that achievement for this mission. I know it was a major highlight. What's the hardest part of a mission for you?
From the OSO's perspective, it's kind of when things fail, we're often called on to come up with interesting solutions. So if something breaks and it was never designed to go in and figure out how to replace a certain part of a piece of hardware, we'll step in and we'll look at what we have in orbit and what we can do with it to make something work. So that can be so challenging, but at the same time, it's really a cool part of our job, because you get to do some things that definitely weren't designed to work that way, and make hardware work in ways that it maybe wasn't supposed to. So
sounds like there's a creative side to your job, kind of an improvisational approach, or MacGyver, if you will.
Definitely, yes, exactly. That's a great way to describe it.
So you said that's pretty cool. A cool part of your job. Is that what you would say is what you like most about your position?
Definitely, and then also just getting to work so closely with the crew members. I mean, we train them, and we work so hard on the procedures we write for them. So it's really neat to get to work so hard on a procedure, give it to them, see them run it on orbit, and hopefully at the end of the day, it's fixed something up there for them. So
you bring up a good point about the crew aspect. How far in advance do you start working on a specific, task for a mission? Is it months or years ahead?
Both. If we have a lot of heads up, usually, it's on the order of years. We're preparing and getting ready for something. Then something will break and we'll get turned on to fix something in the next day. And so we'll have a bunch of OSOs working on it nonstop until we can get procedures ready and that kind of thing. So it varies between the two of those.
Sounds like a really interesting position. What's your background? What kind of degree do you have? And
I have an aerospace engineering degree. I went to UT in Austin. So I don't 100% use, all the different stuff I studied in college specifically, but you do definitely call on a lot of that background in our everyday dealings with it, what we work on ISS. So.
Well, tell us a little bit about Pam. Where did you grow up?
Okay, I am from Houston originally, so still here. I lived on the northwest side of town, though, and so ever since I was a little girl, I loved space and just never grew up, I guess, and always wanted to be a part of the space program. So it's awesome to, have that dream come true and be here. So.
Speaking of, you achieved your dream. Do you have any advice for some of our younger viewers who maybe are thinking about a career at NASA?
I would just say stick with it, and if that's something you really want to do, um, just keep going for it and get internships when you get a little bit older and here, and when you're in college, if I recommend becoming an engineer, and a lot of the engineering departments at colleges have the coolest programs. Where I got to work on a nano satellite at my in my undergrad. So there's just so many cool opportunities that can help you get here. So
Thank you so much, Pam. Those are some great words from yet another part of the team here supporting the STS-132 mission and the last final hours of our docked activities. This is Mission Control Houston.